Welcome to the Catapult Effect, a podcast where professionals like you turn challenges into opportunities for extraordinary growth. If you're tired of struggling, feeling lost, and ready to catapult yourself into the best version of you, then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Katie Wrigley.
Welcome to the Catapult Effect podcast. I have such a cool guest with me today. Layla Al-Khadri is here to join me, or Khadri, sorry, I just said that wrong. Layla Al-Khadri. She is an artist, a muse, and a feminine leadership mentor. Layla knows how to get you access to your awe-inspiring magnetism, which all of you have, by the way. She has over a decade of experience guiding women to express their absolute highest potential and embody their magic. With over 10 years of experience as a mentor, a degree in filmmaking, and a master in somatic therapy, Layla's passion for personal transformation has taken her all over the world, studying, mastering, and distilling the most potent tools and techniques for self-empowerment. The art Layla has created has touched millions of women across the globe, inspiring them to grow, to connect in his sisterhood, and to grow their lives and businesses. Welcome so much to the Catapult Effect podcast, Layla. I am so excited to have you with me today.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Katie. It's such a joy and a pleasure and an honor to be here with you.
Well, let's go ahead and dive in. So, can you just tell me a little bit about your backstory of how you came into this beautiful work of empowering women and helping them find their own unique magnetism?
Beautiful. Well, I think that what led me here has been a lifelong journey. I was very blessed to be born in a family where both my parents had already been doing conscious work. And by conscious work, I mean my favorite story to tell that I feel presents this in a beautiful one picture image is my mother pregnant 3 months going into a Vipassana. For those of you who don't know, a Vipassana is a 10-day dry meditation retreat where you are sitting 11 hours a day meditating, and you eat 2 meals a day, and all you hear is the voice of the guru talking about focusing your breath. So I was 3 months in my mom's belly when I had my first experience with this world, right? But I feel like the catalyst, the moment where I said, okay, I need to jump timelines and I need to devote my life to this work, was in my early 20s. I hit burnout really soon. I am a very passionate being. I am a very talented person, and I went into college with a double degree while I was learning languages and getting my driving license and working on TV, and it was just so much. And I burned out, and I hit a very low place at around 22, where I drove home one night to my mom around midnight, and I told my mom, if this is what life is going to look like, if this level of stress, demands of society, but also this lack of connection, authenticity, expression is what I'm going to live, I'm actually not interested. I'm ready to check out. And it was my first flirting with the concept of suicide and ending my life, but it was actually coming from a really interesting and power place. It was like, I am not playing this game. This looks like a long life in front of me that I just don't want to be a part of. And thanks God, my mother had the tools to send me in the right direction. So that same night, she had a girlfriend having a dinner with her that was leaving the following morning to another kind of silent retreat, not a Vipassana, in the south of Portugal. I'm from Spain, so it was basically 11 hours drive away. And I jumped in the car with her, not really knowing where I was going, not even really knowing this woman much, but just trusting my mother. Mm-hmm. And I sat 10, 11 days in silence. And that was the beginning for me. That was the moment where I realized, okay, there is a whole different world. There's something out there that I have not been educated, that I'm not being told, that can give me hope to live a life of beauty, of inspiration, of connection. And that's how I began the journey. That was 2011.
Wow. Wow, that is just beautiful. And you said something really important there. You were in 10, 11 days of silence. The silence is where it happened.
Yes. And Katie, right? Is how I pronounce it properly?
Yep.
Katie?
Yep, you got it.
There is a reason why the world keeps on having more and more manufactured noise.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's industry or is the politics or is the world affairs, there's this noise. They are trying to fill up the space of our minds with noise, because the moment we pause and sit in silence, we are extremely powerful. There is a first layer of debris that we're going to hit with the first silence.
Yep.
It might take you two silent retreats. The first one, you might go through a lot of debris. Second one, you might hit deep ancestral trauma. And towards the end of the second one or the third one, you're going to find that power that's within you. And that the powers don't want us to get there, because we will not be so easily manipulated and controlled.
Absolutely. You're saying such important things here. I want to make sure we're going into the program and your company, but you are touching on some critical pieces to growth that tend to work against us. So one of my favorite quotes, I follow this app called Heroic, and this guy, Brian Johnson, he's incredible. The whole mission is to help 51% of the world flourish by the year 2051. Something I can totally get on board with. And there's a quote that keeps coming up. I forget who said it originally, but it was that it is no measure of success to be adjusted to a sick society. And when we look at America specifically, we are so, and it's not just America. I'm not picking on just Americans, but this is where I live. And I'm sure from your global perspective, I really want to hear your view on this as well. But we are consuming 90% of all of the prescriptions in the world, but we do not have 90% of the population. We are taught to look for the solution outside of ourselves. And when we start to follow that messaging, and then mind you, they also have a whole lot of fear programming that they're putting into us every single day through the news, through the way it's delivered, that is meant to stimulate your nervous system in negative ways to get your attention. And it drives you away from yourself. And so what do you think of that? And what do you see more globally, Lila, from your perspective? You're in Bali right now as we're recording this. And what do you think about that quote of it's no measure of success to be adjusted to a sick society?
Yeah, it is not. I think if I'm not, I was looking down because I'm like asking ChatGPT who said it. That what I recall is being told to be sane in an insane society is a sign of insanity.
Thank you.
Is that right?
Yes.
I'm asking, yes. But internet is not good enough to hold us and ChatGPT. So, but we don't know.
Thanks, ChatGPT.
If you're listening to us and you know who said it, please let Katie and I know who said this sentence. But absolutely. We have made, I don't say we, but I don't know who they are. So they have designed a system where the basic keys for human beings to be healthy have been removed.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Connection, first and foremost, connection to each other, ourselves, and the earth. Just at a biological level, we cannot be healthy human beings when we are not bonding, when we are not producing a healthy amount of oxytocin.
Yep.
When we are removed from things as basic as seeing each other's bodies naked, healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I am working for a long time now in the world in 2025 on a project called My Body is Sacred that goes really deep on the rabbit hole of the effects of censorship in human consciousness. Because when you think about the things that makes us happy, and I don't mean happy just as a metaphysical concept, I actually mean biologically happy, having enough serotonin, enough dopamine, enough of the right chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
These things are very associated with all the things that have been made wrong in our society. Sexuality, nudity, skin to skin connection, and since the COVID, physical contact.
Mm-hmm.
So no wonder we end up being medicated for a whole lot of a huge plethora of new symptoms that are sprouting from the fact that we are being disconnected from our essence. And so the biggest piece of the work I do, it's not giving humans anything new. It's actually creating a space where we can pause and turn the awareness back into the power that we carry within ourselves. The ability that we have to create our own health. There is no disease in our body that our immune system is not to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is we have forgotten, neglected. And I'm not surprised when you say that America consumes such a big amount of the percentage of medication in the world, because I feel that unfortunately America has become the testing ground for whoever is in power wanting to control consciousness and humanity.
I can't disagree with you there. And I actually looked up the stats a few years ago to see how much more we consumed of prescriptions versus the rest of the world. And I used to do international travel. And I remember there was one trip, I think I was in Germany at the time, but I was taking out all these pills. Some of them were supplements because my body was a mess at the time, because that happened a few times before I finally started to pay attention and do the work. But I was still kind of asleep at this point. But he was like, that's a lot of pills. He's like, you Americans, you take a pill for everything. And it was the first time I got introduced that I'm like, wait a second, this isn't how everybody resolves their problems. Like, pills don't always work, really? Like, and it still took me a while to wake up after that. But yeah, it's not the healthiest way to do things. And in your experience, Layla, is there a pill that's going to do this work for us?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I am all about not suffering. I'm not doing here an apology of suffering. If you have a headache, go find a herb, ideally a herb, because there's a herb for absolutely any disease and any, like allopathic chemical medicine, it's 100 years old. Before, with thousands and thousands and thousands of years of wisdom, I went into Chinese medicine, but there's the world, how to heal any illness of the body. Of course, you have a disease, if you have a problem, go find a medication, but know that the medication is dealing with this. There is a cause, and the cause is always psychosomatic. It's always mental or emotional.
Yes.
Even when we catch a virus, you don't get all spiritual. I just catch a virus. Well, why did you catch a virus? How did the virus get into your system? In one moment, and due to what emotional state did your immune system lower down its defenses?
Mm-hmm.
I am extremely blessed, and I say this with awareness of my privilege. Here, my privilege comes from the consciousness of my parents. I was conceived, birthed, and raised in the most healthy environment I know.
Wow.
No vaccination, no antibiotics, only organic food. And I have very, very rarely been sick in my life, but also I very rarely have accidents, knock on wood. And I've done high-risk sports, and I've traveled the world, and I live in Southeast Asia, and I backpacked India. I have never taken a vaccination. I have never needed, maybe a couple of times I've taken an antibiotic here and there. I took anesthesia once because I got a tooth removed. But very, very little. Mostly my body fights. And I live in third world countries for 12 years. I'm exposed to diseases and parasites that the Western world doesn't even know exist.
Yeah.
Our bodies are stronger than we've been told. And I would say one last thing, Katie, and I'm so passionate about this because I believe that at the root of the problem all the problems that we have as a society, at the root of it is the crisis of disempowerment.
Yes.
We have been systemically. So when you are little and you get sick, nobody explains you why you got sick. Nobody tells you what sickness you are having. Nobody tells you the possibility of the remedies. You just go to a man or a woman called doctor that you are told to trust, and you take whatever they give you.
Mm-hmm.
Never educated to take care of your own health.
Nope.
So
Nope.
as you go, the sovereignty in you, it's completely removed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know why headaches are produced. You don't know why menstrual cramps happen. You don't know why indigestion happen. You can't find the correlation between a headache and the fact that maybe you just didn't drink enough water today.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's so spot on. You're speaking my language. So I understand you've actually created a program for empowerment that is called Creatrix. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what inspired you to create this program so that people can take back their empowerment and fully step into the power that we all have as the sovereign souls we were created to be in this life?
Thank you, Katie. So when I started my journey around 15 years ago, I started because I went to study Chinese medicine, Taoism, and Tantra first in Southeast Asia. I entered the world of personal development, if you want to call it that way, through the pathway of sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
So I first learned everything about the male and the female body, the hormones, the balance, and how sexuality is indeed at the core of emotional, physical, and mental health. It is at the core of human life. I mean, all life in the planet, if we look at it from a bigger...
Right.
Right? Without sexuality, there is no life on earth. So there's a reason why it all starts there. So when you understand sexuality, you understand human power. And when we zoom into working with men and women, very especially with women, the crisis of disempowerment that we are experiencing has a lot to do with how separated we have been from our sexuality. So I created first programs around sexuality. As the women I was working with started to heal themselves and reconnect with their pleasure and reconnect with their power, then something started to happen. And is that a healed, inspired woman that's connected to her power wants to create. She doesn't want to, she might want to go and relax and chill for a minute to catch up with the life of stress. But as soon as she has arrived to a healthy place, she wants to create. Mm-hmm. So then I started creating programs about creativity, about activating your voice, about sharing your wisdom, about creating. And then we arrived into the COVID times, and I realized, oh my God, the world is about to change. And these women have a very powerful key for the new world. So then I went deep into business, and I learned business strategy, marketing, branding, sales, storytelling, communication, leadership, everything that allowed for this creation to hit the world and to create impact and to create abundance. And then we'll support women to continue creating. And so when I arrived to 2023, when I had a personal big moment of crisis, and I paused and I took an entire year. And from that year of reflection, I realized, okay, I have now this entire body of work that I've put together over almost 15 years. This is Creatrix. So Creatrix is a year-long journey where women go from the conception of a creatrix through activating their bodies, their emotions, their mindset, their creativity, and their leadership, all the way to stepping into the world as a creatrix and actively participating in the creation of a new world for all of us, which is what you and I are doing here today with the podcast, that all the women do with programs, with movements, with community building, with politics, with products, with whatever it is that organically comes out of you with your unique signature. So that's what Creatrix is.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And I want to go into more details on Creatrix, but I want to tap into what you had just said about sexuality, because you gave me a major aha moment in that. So I have a deep understanding of shame. I started to follow Brene Brown's work several years ago, and it is the heaviest emotion that we can feel, because shame, when we're feeling it, what we're telling ourselves is that there is something inherently wrong with us, which goes against the fact that we are created. Whatever your belief is, we were created, and there's a lot of belief that we are created perfectly, exactly the way that we're supposed to be, flaws and all. And so when you have that shame, it means there's something wrong with you as you are created, which is very heavy because it goes against our soul and it doesn't fit comfortably because it's not for us. And so I made a link there, but I hadn't really thought of all the shame, all the stigma that people put around sexuality. And you're right. It is the most natural thing. Like, we see animals mating in nature all the time, but we have put so much through some of the, and a lot of it comes from the formal constructs of religion, which religion can be a beautiful thing, but when it's used to take you away from yourself, that's where it starts to kind of slip from what I believe the actual true intent of religion was created to be, which is to help you become your highest self, to become the best version of yourself. But when you're denying that sexuality and you're putting rules and stigma around it that you have to hide, that there should be shame with your body parts, that there should be shame with showing your body parts, and then you have the exploitation piece over there, that's going to create a division in the soul again, because you're being told that something that is natural to this body is wrong.
Oh my God. This is my passion. And so interesting, Katie, because we're talking today, July 24th.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday was what has been declared as the International Day to honor Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene is the historical figure that was the church told us was a prostitute.
Yep.
Though in 2014, if I don't remember wrong, but don't grab me here by the number, finally the Vatican recognized that that statement was wrong. There was enough historical proof to change the history that Mary Magdalene was actually not a prostitute. She was Jesus' partner.
Wow.
Now, I have gone deep. I got goosebumps. I have gone deep in the study of Maria Magdalene's work. My mother gifted me at 16 a book called the Mary Magdalene Manuscript. My mother is a devotee of the original scriptures. She follows the original word of Jesus, which is pre-church. When the church appears is when patriarchy puts its claw in wisdom and turns it into manipulation. The word of Jesus, just like the word of Buddha and the word of Mahoma and the word of Lao Tzu and the word of all of these amazing spiritual beings that walk this earth, was a beautiful word of empowerment. And Jesus talked about love. And Jesus and Mary Magdalene had a very profound relationship. Mary Magdalene was an initiate of the Isis temple. She had been trained in profound tantric arts to activate the spiritual body through activating sexual energy. Wow. And he said that it was through the practices, the sexual practices between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, that Jesus could open his Christ consciousness to go through the process of resurrection and leave a door open for humanity. This is the power of the Christian religion. This is the message of Jesus. Love each other, love yourself, love thy neighbor. And sexuality is an expression of love that turns you into the image of God, which is a creator. And now there is 3, right? Through sexuality, you create a new one, or 4 or 5 if you got twins and triplets, right? So taking this profound wisdom and twisting it on its edge, making this woman a prostitute, very interesting choice. Now we disempower her sexuality and we shame her sexuality. And we close the one door that both Jesus and Mary Magdalene walk through in order to open consciousness. I access this wisdom through 2 doors, through the east, through the west with this wisdom, and also through the east when I went to Taoism and Tantra. Both Taoism and Tantra, 5,000-year-old life philosophies and traditions talk about reaching enlightenment through sexual practices. Why? Because it's through the awakening of sexuality that, among other things, biology gets to rejuvenate itself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about shame, and I love the work of Brené Brown, and you can complement that work if you want to like dive into shame through the dot of sexuality. There is a woman, her name, Regina Tomantanhauer. She wrote a very easy to read book called Pussy, a Reclamation. And she talks about the impact of shame, specifically in the area of sexuality, has a profound effect in the neurobiology of women. A woman that is shamed in her sexuality produces a very specific set of neurochemistry that is going to make her feel inadequate, insecure, unaware of where she stays in the space, unable to reach her voice, unable to say no, unable to claim her boundaries. Fascinating. And then we have Harvard studies trying to wonder why women in college raise their hand less than men. Why are women asking for less pay raise than men? Well, no fucking wonder. It's been thousands of years of systemic castration of our power.
Yes.
Through a very specific door. Sexuality. Everything about female sexuality is shameful. From your menstruation, to your hairs, to your hormones, to your puberty, to your menopause, to everything is wrong about our sexuality. How are we expected? Oh, hi, Kitty. How he heard the word pussy and was like, somebody's calling me.
Well played, Layla. Well played.
So yeah, just to round this one up, I will say, no matter where you are, if you're listening to us, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter where you are in your exploration, make sure that you dive into that area of your life with reverence.
Absolutely.
And do a little bit of the conditioning you have inherited.
Yeah, especially if there's a background of sexual trauma, this can be an area that's harder for people to step into because there's even more shame and more triggers around it because your body has been violated against your will. And there's a whole other level of crap that comes with that. And I speak from direct experience. There is a whole pile of shit that comes with that to help sort through to start to be comfortable with your sexuality and allow yourself that space to get there. You don't have to rush it, but let yourself work through those things. So shifting back into the Creatrix program, because I'm loving our conversation here and I'm imagining there's probably a bit of sexuality and embracing our sexuality that could be part of opening this creative process for women. So could you talk about a couple of maybe the teasers that you have in there without giving too much, because we want them to sign up for your program? And what are some of the outcomes that the women that are going through Creatrix are seeing for themselves, Layla?
Amazing. So teasers, maybe what I can do is I'm going to give you some of the pit stops that we do in the journey of Creatrix, and then I'll tell you in each stop what is the outcome that you experience. Also, if you want to have a full immersion in the concept of the Creatrix, I have coming up a retreat. I don't like calling it a retreat. I call it an initiation in Ibiza this October. And in that initiation for 6 days, you're going through an experience of this rather than a conceptual understanding of it, which is a really powerful way to do this work. And the reason why I became a somatic therapist is I can sit here and talk with you about liberating your pleasure for an hour. We can go into doing an exercise that allows you to feel that within your body and have the hormonal and neurobiological kick in your brain that you go like, oh, this is it. And this is the difference between telling a child that fire burns or taking a child's finger close to a candle. You will never again try to touch fire. That's how somatics work. So a big part of Creatrix is this somatic component throughout the entire journey. There is the concept and there is the wisdom, but there's always somatic practices. And so somatic practices in the first chapter, which is the chapter of radiance, which is everything that has to do with personal work. In radiance, we have sexuality in the chapter of the body. We have mindset in the chapter of the mind. We have emotional mastery in the chapter of emotions. And then we have inspiration and presence in what will be this chapter of soul or spirit, which is non-religious, spiritual non-religious. And at the same time, we bring wisdom from all religions, because I've been educated in, multiple. My father is Muslim, my mom is Christian, and I live in a Buddhist country for 15 years. So what happens in radiance is we travel through these 4 levels of the human experience from, again, the wisdom perspective and the experience perspective. And so what women are experiencing this is, first and foremost, we organize our inner world. It's like, all right, my shyness is not coming from an incapacity to speak. It's coming from a sexual trauma when I was a child that it's making me believe that I'm not good enough. Phenomenal. Like those moments of and this does not need to take 10 years of therapy, ladies and gentlemen. This gets to be done fairly fast nowadays. We have so much information and so many practices. So we organize the awareness of our inner landscape. We know what is in each box, and then we have tools to work with it. Depending on the level and depth of the things you're working with, it takes longer or is faster. But we know how to work on the body, what to work on the mind, what to work on the emotions, and when to work in our connection with spirit. That's the chapter of radiance.
Wow.
Why did I call it radiance? Because that's what it takes for a woman to be radiant. When those 4 levels are in alignment, it comes through, whether you have bags under your eyes because you didn't sleep last night or not. You have the radiance. This is feedback I get since I was a little girl. How are you so radiant? I get to be radiant even when I'm pissed or PMSing, because there is an alignment that shines, right? As radiance is complete, we move into the next. And the next pit stop, I called it the avatar woman. And here's when we unlock our creative expression. And creative expression is a big process, is a big journey, because we need to understand where creativity comes from. And a lot of creativity is sourced in the experiences of our life. So a big part of Avatar Women, which I feel is a really good teaser to share, is the traversing through the world of darkness. We actually take a journey through the underworld.
Ooh.
Through all of those emotions that are blocking us, and we find the gold in them. And then we get into voice activation and movement and all the practices that are required for us to feel confident and to be able to share with the world. And then there's a few steps in between, but I'm keeping an eye on the clock. So I'm going to go to the last chunk. It's called unique. And unique is purely, how do you create a stage for your creation in the world? Whether you run a business, you're a solopreneur, you work in a company, you lead a movement or a community, what does it take to put your creation into the world? What does it take to build a sustainable business, let's call it, movement, out of your creation? And here, women come up against all sorts of things, from public speaking to expressing yourself to fear of selling, to all the things that are come on the way when we choose to become leaders. It's a fascinating journey. It's the work of my life. Creatrix is truly the work of my life.
It sounds really powerful. And from my understanding of neuroscience, which is not an expert, but I would say I'm pretty intermediary. I mean, I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not a doctor, but I work with neuroscience a lot, and everything you're saying in there, those are powerful pieces. When we make those mindset shifts, Layla, like, oof, look out world, here she comes. Love this.
Yes.
Where can people find you?
Well, because I started this work before the internet exploded, you can just write my name on Google and everything that comes up is me. So whether you find Yeah, it's great. Well, you find me through my website, or I hang out very much daily on Instagram. So I will ask you if you choose to join me on Instagram, Layla Al-Khadri. You just have to make sure Layla is with Y and Al-Khadri is Khadri. You find me on Instagram, you send me a DM. It might take 2 days max for me or my team to respond to you, and it's pretty easy. On my website, you also can write me an email. And also, one thing that I always say when people ask me, how can I find you? I want you to find me, but I also want you to have an experience of my work before I ask you to make any commitment, any monetary commitment or any commitment of any sort. Why? Because I know I've been around for a decade. I know the market is oversaturated and there's a lot of blah, blah, woo, woo, flu stuff that doesn't go anywhere. So you have a taster of every single part of my work. You don't need to make any financial commitment to have an experience of my work and to already have benefits. You can have a taster of radiance, and you can take a journey through sexuality, through emotional maturity, through mindset. If you are already done with that and you're like, Layla, what I need is the business part because I'm ready to share with the world everything I figured out, then you can have a taster through the business. There is funnels that give you a taster through Unique, which is the business program.
Nice.
If you are like, you know what, Layla, I don't even know where to start. I just need a morning practice. I need to move my body right now. I don't even know what my name is. I'm still trapped in the hamster wheel. Don't worry. You can also join me through my somatic practice. I created a somatic practice over the last decade, which is called Presence, which I am absolutely in love with. You can have a 1 hour free somatic practice to do. If you're like, Layla, you know what? I don't even want to move. I'm still stuck in my sofa. You can do a guided meditation. I also have guided meditations for you. So with this, I want to say, taste it, come to my table and have a taster of everything. Feel that this is for you, and then I'm here to serve you because it's obviously my passion.
Yes.
You can tell by now.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love the passion that you put into that as well. Thank you. And we'll make sure that we have the links to you on social, especially Instagram, since that's where you have the biggest presence based on what you just said. But we'll have your website and your social handles linked so that all you guys need to do is just click directly from the show notes. You don't have to worry about misspelling it. It'll just take you right over to Layla so you can start checking out her work. And I really love that. And it really speaks to your confidence in what you have created. We see so many creators out there that you can't get access to any of their work without paying for something. And that can be a big leap to take when you don't know much about that person. Is it going to work? Does it feel like a fit for me? So I love that you have all these freebies out there that people can start to try depending on where they are, what their needs are. I really love that you got something for the person not ready to get off the couch. You got something for the person who's ready to move. You got something for the person who has no idea where to start. You got something for the person that knows where to start. Like, beautiful and brilliant. Well done on that, Layla. I love it.
Thank you, sweetheart. It's a lifetime of work, but it's definitely, yeah. I was very blessed to know very soon in my life that I was here to serve a big cause. So I'm very grateful for that, and I don't take it for granted. So I give it my all.
Yeah, that is a beautiful and wonderful blessing. My journey was very different, but it's given me exactly what I needed to be able to put forth the work that I do now. So thank you so much for your time today. If there is one action item that you want someone who's listening or watching to take, what would be the one thing that you want them to do and take from this podcast, Layla? Big question, I know. And if there isn't one, then maybe, keep it to 3, maximum of 3.
Okay, I like 3. The first one is, I want you to write in your mirror, the bathroom mirror, any version of this. I am love. I love myself. I come from love. I'm here to share love. Anything that connects you with love and that you can see every day. And if you don't have a bathroom mirror that you can use because you live with your parents, put a post-it in under your your pillow, but just have a daily reminder that you come from love. And there is, when you lean into love, you will be led. I'll be the first one. The second one, don't put for tomorrow your healing journey. Take an action today. That action is to change your diet, to go to the gym, to drink more water, to do a meditation. Don't put it for tomorrow, because nothing else in your life, nothing else is going to give you as much as you healing yourself. It's the most efficient, the most inspiring, and the most financially profitable thing that you can do. Believe me, I've coached thousands of people by now. And the third thing, come over to Instagram, connect with me, get some of the amazing things I've prepared for you so you can start that journey today, and I can get to know you, and I can connect with you, and I can help you get there where you were meant to be in the first place, because you are a magnificent creator. You just need to reconnect with your power.
Oh, that is beautiful and wonderful advice. I'm deep into embracing my love for myself, but I am going to follow your advice. And when we hang up, I'm going to go write on my mirror, and it's in the next room, that I am loved, I am loved, I am loving. All forms of it.
Ashe. Yes.
To just remind myself, because, you never know what happens during a day, right? We can start out, we can be feeling all full of love, all full of zest, and something comes in from left field, and suddenly we're off our game. And reconnecting to the truth of who we are, which we are all love, can help us get our day back on track again. So that was awesome advice to wrap things up. Thank you so much for your time today, Layla. It has been an honor to get to spend this time in this space with you and to learn about Creatrix and the amazing things that you're doing out there to help empower women. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you to those who are listening and watching today. You are so appreciated. I'm so grateful for you. I trust that the information Layla gave you is exactly what you needed. Check out the show notes so you can go connect directly to her. And thank you again for joining the Catapult Effect podcast. We will be back soon. Until then, please stay well.
Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a 5-star review, which helps grow the podcast and reach others just like you. While you're at it, connect with Katie on social media. You can find her on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram as @CoachKTDubs. That's CoachKTDubs. This has been the Catapult Effect with Katie Wrigley. Thanks for listening.